Many of your allies who want you to win in November say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree?
I think I'm entitled to personal attacks.
I did not need to hear that from him. I've been pretty sure that's how he felt in general for about a decade now. But you might or might not know that behind the scenes, there's been a lot of pressure, public, private, on Fox News, in smoke-filled rooms, for Donald Trump to grow up just a little bit and come out with a strategy for taking down Kamala Harris and Tim Walz that relies on more than just insulting her intelligence or her race or her looks or his military service or how much spice he likes in his food or whatever it is that he's doing. And right there you saw that he's just not going to take that advice. He really does feel like he's entitled to say these things. He has these thoughts. He has no ability to control his deepest, darkest impulses, and so he vomits them out in press conferences like you just saw. And the excuse being like that she's called me weird, he goes on to say, that's just no excuse for like a grown man to use, but he thinks it's good enough. Take a look.
I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence. And I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a soundbite. And she called JD and I weird. Some people say, oh, why don't you be nice? But they're not nice to me. They want to put me in prison, just so you understand. They tell me I should be nice. They want to put me in prison. It's never happened before in the history of our country. I did nothing wrong.
They called me weird. Can you believe this, honey bunches of oats? They called me weird. What a strange, strange fellow. The funny thing about it is, yes, there are probably some reporters or people that like Harris and thus want him to stop being mean to her or whatever. But he seems to be almost entirely missing the point. Those telling him to stop attacking her are not doing it because you need to be nice. They're saying it because you need to look nice. People don't like you, they don't want to support you. They think that you're a mean weirdo and they don't want to be a part of your political thing. If you could mature a little bit, show a little bit of control of your emotions, then you might reassure some people that you being the next president would not be an absolute disaster. They're trying to help him, but he cannot be helped. Not when it comes to things like controlling himself.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it. So I come at this from a unique perspective because, as all of you know that I've been watching the show for some time, I believe in negative campaigning. 98 if not 100 out of 100 pundits on TV, especially Democrats, will say, Democrats and mainstream media will say like, no negative campaigning, keep it civil. And when they go high, when they go low, you go high. And don't, right? No, I don't believe that at all. But does it depend? Of course it depends. What are you going negative about? Going negative about a record? Yeah, that makes sense, right? What are we running on? You're running on your record. If your record sucks, I gotta tell people it sucks. I'm running against you. This is actually the #1 problem that Bernie Sanders had. He could not get himself to go negative if his life depended on it, and our progressive lives, political lives depended on it, and he wouldn't do it, right? So, on the other hand, if you're going negative on someone's gender or race, that's a very dangerous path because it makes no sense, and all you're gonna do is alienate people. So what are you going negative on, right? So, and with Trump, we have the answer. Yeah, she just turned black. I don't know, black. Okay, well, now you're doing identity politics and you're being weirdly racist, and I mean that very literally. Weirdly racist. I don't even understand your racism. That's how weird it is, right? What does it mean that she turned black? Okay, and you could. And by the way, brother, oh man, let me play poker against Donald Trump. He has so many tells, right? And he can't stop saying what's at the very top of his mind. He's like, it really bothers me that they're calling me weird. Why are you announcing that? They're just gonna call you weird more. Like, do you have any sense of strategy? I guarantee you that if I was playing with him, he'd be like, Yeah, I think your hand is weak. Just so because I have an 8-2 unsuited doesn't mean anything. I'm bluffing. Oh no, I said it out loud. Okay, like you moron. Now, which brings us to intelligence. Can you campaign on intelligence, negative or otherwise? Yeah, of course you can. Intelligence is a very relevant part of being commander-in-chief and the president of the United States of America. Good news for us, Donald Trump's a moron. Okay, so like he says Kamala Harris isn't bright. But all right, what are you basing that on? She went to great schools, she was district attorney, attorney general, senator, vice president, etc. But if you got something, no problem. I'm open to that discussion. It sounds like since you don't have anything to back it up, you're saying that based on stereotypes. Now you're back into dumbass negative campaigning. And John is absolutely right. The people saying, hey, stop, aren't Democrats. Democrats are like, green light, keep talking, jackass. Okay, we love it. So no, it's people trying to help you, not because they think you're being mean, but because they think you're not being effective. So now let's talk about why he's not being effective. Because, again, if you've been watching this show for the last 10 years, you know that I think Donald Trump is one of the biggest dumbasses we have ever had in public in any way, shape, or form, not just politics. So, and now of course he disagrees. Let's watch a clip of him telling us how smart he is.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I'm an extremely stable genius.
Actually, he goes on to say, throughout my life, my two greatest assets have been mental stability and being like really smart.
And he literally writes, like
I'm not throwing
really
that in there,
smart.
yes, I want to point out.
Go
Like
ahead.
really smart. I went from very successful businessman to top TV star to president of the United States on my first try. I think that would qualify as not smart, but genius, and a very stable genius at that.
We sold a lot of very stable genius shirts at shoptyt.com after those statements. Because who says that? Who walks into a bar and goes, I'm extremely stable? And who doesn't run away from that guy? He says, one of the two things I'm known for is mental stability. Brother, if you have to be known for just being mentally stable, there's an excellent chance you're not mentally stable. Because most normal people are not known for that. That's not the top two qualifications they have. And I can go on and on. He thought a dementia test was an IQ test, thereby failing the dementia test because he didn't know which test he was taking. But I'm gonna give you one last one here, because I think that he might not actually believe that he's like really smart. Because this is from 2019 from Associated Press. Leading up to the 2016 presidential election, Donald Trump directed his personal attorney at the time, Michael Cohen, to threaten legal action against the colleges and high school he attended if they publicly released his grades or standardized test scores, Cohen told Congress in 2019. He would take legal action against you if you find out how dumb he is. Look, man, I don't think that college or high school grades are determinative. I've seen people work their ass off and get ahead. And to me, that's not like the end all be all. But when you're desperate to hide your high school grades, that means they weren't very good. Okay, trust me, if you had good grades, I had the best grade. I thought that, oh, didn't you, brother? Didn't you? Because anytime anybody tries to get them, you're like, no, send the lawyers. Don't anybody ever find out what an idiot I was in high school or college and how my dad got me everything. He got me admitted into these schools and I didn't earn it. He got me out of Vietnam because I had bone spurs in my head. So you want to talk about intelligence, brother? I'm right here for it. Moss.
I'm surprised no one has brought out those grades yet. It would really be a fun day, at least a news cycle. So to your point, if anybody's watching that can do that, if there's a journalist that can dig, please listen to Cenk and get those grades out so we can have some fun with it. Number two, I think if you're an old, white, spoiled, rich guy, you should not be using the word entitled to describe your right to go after a smart, accomplished African-American, half Asian woman who's running for president. Like that's the wrong word. He goes, I'm entitled to use it. Yeah, you're very entitled, and you should not be using those personal insults. And really it goes to, this all shows the level of his ego, because if these people actually had any ounce of humility or any ounce of being, smart about this, they would take this title of weird and play on it and be like, yeah, I'm weird, whatever, it's all good. I'm weird, but the economy's doing this and the country's doing that. Let's go to these subjects. But they don't. He takes it. He's got the smallest ability to actually have any kind of sense of humor. He famously was the first president in a long time to not go to the correspondence dinner. And he said, he goes, I don't like people laughing at me. And I think that's because no one's ever laughed with him. Yeah. And so we see this. And by the way, if you want to talk about weird, look at the backdrop that he's standing in front of. It looks like he's trying to replicate the front of the White House so that maybe, the Rose Garden, so maybe some of his followers that are watching think, oh, he's actually at the White House. And look at the number of flags they got coming out of that back room. It's like, how many flags do you know what I'm saying? Like, we get it, you're patriotic, but that's weird. That in itself is all weird because it's all such signaling of like, look at what a great guy I am, America, America, America. I might end up making out with this flag in a second, like I did in the past. So the guy is weird, and good on Tim Walz for bringing this label to these people. They are weird. They don't have a sense of humor, and no, you're not entitled to go after her because the problem is, guys, that this is all he knows. If there's one thing Donald Trump is good at, it's nicknames. He's this meathead who probably was the guy who was giving nicknames back in the day, and he's moved on, and he's pretty good at nicknames. Sleepy Joe and Crooked Hillary and Little Marco Rubio. And then he gets to this strong, smart African-American woman, and he can't because he knows deep down inside the words are very racist and they're very sexist. And he's like, and he may go there. As the numbers start to dip, you might see, we saw some leaked video of him calling her a B word, but you may actually see him in one of these press conferences he keeps calling, actually go there with some nickname that we're all going to be talking about. And please play this clip again if and when he goes racist on her with the nickname.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. So I'm not sure the video showed that. That was kind of mixed, but there's a lot of reporting that he said it behind the scenes. And besides, would MAGA be surprised? Would anybody be surprised? But I wanted to comment on a couple of things that Maz just said real quick. The flags, remember it's Bedminster, New Jersey. That's where his golf course is. That's where he buried his ex-wife for a tax cut. And that's where he transported some of the stolen documents he still has. So the flags might just be covering up boxes of documents back there. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. And you said, he was like an old bully that ran out of material. He's literally Biff from Back to the Future. They modeled Biff after Trump, because Trump's of course been around for a long, long time. And so that's also true. And then, but I wanted to give last word to one of our members. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button below, become part of the show, become part of the Young Turks. JJ Belmar wrote in. Cenk says that Trump's campaign is spiraling down the toilet, but it's a beautiful toilet, tremendous toilet, the most beautiful toilet ever, and nobody knows about toilets as much as Trump does. Okay, and I like it because it's both funny and true, because he actually did these toilets that were too expensive in Trump Air when he bought that airline, and it's part of what bankrupted the airline. Beautiful toilets, I want the best toilets. They're like, sir, it costs too much, it's gonna cost more. I don't care. And remember on the toilets, he would rip up the secret documents and throw them down the toilet, and it caused clogging issues in the White House. Yeah. Anyway, I love our members. That's smart and funny and appreciate you.
Yeah, I love the idea that his lifelong need to have a powerful flush bankrupted at least one company.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.